Assalamu alaikum students, welcome back to our session 3 Organisms and Habitat lesson. Now in today's session you are going to learn about pond as a habitat and also about aquatic and terrestrial habitat and also the animals that live under the ground, on the ground, in or on the water, and animals living in some other places. Examples of some of the animals. Now let us enter into our lesson. Children, we can see animals under the ground, on the ground, and in the water, and also some other places. Now let us see the animals that are present under the ground. You can see rabbit, ant, otter, and chipmunk, and also some other organisms like earthworms. They live under the soil. Now let us see the animals that are present above the ground, like you are seeing here: zero fish, lion, tiger, all domestic animals, and wild animals like deer, zebra, bear, penguin, and some other animals. Now let us see the animals that are present in the water. These animals that are present in the water are also called as aquatic animals. Now let us see the animals that are living on trees, like squirrel, tree frog, koala, sloth, snake, ant, bird, chameleon, monkey, pangolin. Some of the animals, they live on the trees. Now let us see what is biotic and abiotic things. Children, we have seen that different organisms live in different places, but many of them live in the same place. Living organisms have different needs. They usually stay in the places where most of their needs are met. That is, they get sufficient food, shelter, and other conditions necessary for their survival. All organisms depend on their surrounding for their needs like food, water, air, and shelter. And the surrounding which meets the needs of a particular organism in the best manner is a habitat of that organisms. Any habitat, living and non-living things are coexisting. Now the living things are called as biotic components and the non-living things are called as abiotic components. These two are interdependent, that means both are depending on each other. Plants, animals, and microorganisms are biotic components, whereas soil, water, air, light, temperature, moisture, these are called as abiotic components. Now we also see that habitats can be broadly classified into two categories like aquatic habitat and also terrestrial habitat. Now let us see pond as a habitat. There are several organisms in a pond. To study them more closely, we need to see the different regions in the pond where communities of some organisms are present. Now you can see here the picture of a pond, the overall picture of a pond. Here you can see the animals that are present in a pond and surface of the pond, middle of the pond, margins of the pond, and also bottom of the pond we find animals. Now in our lesson we are going to know which animals are present on the surface and which animals are present on the margins, in the margins of the pond, and which are present mid of the pond and which are present at the bottom of the pond. Now you can see here children the image of a surface of the pond. Now here you can see middle of the pond image. Next here it is the bottom of the pond. Now let us see children here. We find different organisms living in different regions. This is due to some conditions like availability of different amounts of food, air, light, etc. Now let us study about the different organisms present in different layers of the pond. This is the margin of the pond image. Now let us see the animals that are present above the surface of the pond. You can see in the first picture it is dragonfly, second picture mayfly, and the third picture you can see kingfisher. These are hovering above the pond and then resting over a bamboo pole or a stake jutting out of the surface of the pond. They get food from the surface of the pond. Now let us see the animals that are present, that are living on the surface of the pond. Whirling beetle, like you're seeing here in the first image, pond skater in the second image, larva of mayfly, the third image, in the third upper side you can see here uh, larvae of dragonflies. You can see in third picture above, you can see larvae of dragonfly and below it is a larvae of mayfly children. Now we can see plants like pistia floating on the surface completely, while those like lotus have roots going deep underwater. Organisms on the surface are easily eaten up by others because there is little protection for them. However, there is plenty of food and air. Fish usually come to the surface for food. So we have fish also here at the surface of the pond. Now let us see the animals that are present in the pond margins. We can see several grasses, frogs, cranes, crabs, etc. And fishes usually lay eggs here in the margin of the pond. So fish lay eggs in which layer of the pond, children? Yes, it is in the margin of the pond. Now let us see about midwater of the pond. Here you can see great water boatman and a leech. So children, here you can see first at the top side leech, and downside of this leech you can see great water boatman, and next second picture you can see larvae of mosquito upside, and downside you can see a crab. You can also see beside crab fishes also in this midwater of the pond, children. So you have to remember the animals that are present here midwaters of the pond also. Now let us see about bottom of the pond. So what lives at the bottom of the pond? This region has plants like hydrilla, like you are seeing here hydrilla, and animals like mussels. In the first picture you can see a mussel, and here in the second side upper it is a flatworm, and down these are larvae of some insects. They are called as maggots. You can see here animals like mussel, flatworm, and larvae of maggots, and also a plant hydrilla. You can see a light minimum here in this place, but food in the form of dead and decaying matter is available plenty at the bottom of the pond, children. Now, in all the ponds, we can see both plants and animals. The plants we see in water are called as aquatic plants, and the animals are called as aquatic animals. This type of habitat is said to be an aquatic habitat. There are several aquatic habitats on the earth, from very small ones like water tanks, ponds, small golden pools, pools that form after rain, to large ones like saltwater lakes, rivers, seas, etc. Children, in our next session, we are going to learn about a tree as a habitat. Now, children, let us continue our lesson in our next session. After that, be happy. Allah Hafiz.